And good Sunday morning, everyone. This is John with Pure Adrenaline Fantasy Sports. Sean is still taking his break, so hopefully we'll see him back soon. But let's look at. We wanted to look at some fantasy news, some NFL news, and start taking a look at fantasy defenses for the season. And we'll also take a look at the Week 1 schedule and our early projections. I've started doing our projections for Week 1 as well, so we'll start taking an early look at them. So thanks for stopping by. Hit that follow button if you haven't, and yeah, let's dive into it here. Let's send out some tweets here. Hopefully, get some people stopping by. Like I said, Sean's taking a little bit of a break here. We've been nonstop streaming twice a week, and Sean's been busy with work, so he decided to take a little break. I'm fine with that. Hopefully, he decides to come back. He has not told me otherwise, but so let's look at some of the news going around the league here while we wait for some people to jump in. If you're here, stop by, say hi. Let us know who your favorite teams are as well. Siciliano says Von Miller says he credits Aaron Donald and the Rams for revitalizing his career. Yeah, sometimes just getting out of a place will do that. He was in Denver for a long time, and sometimes things can get stale. So the Rams won the Super Bowl last year with the help of that defense. Colts Darius Leonard begins camp on PUP list. Yeah, that's all these guys getting placed on PUP list. That's not that big of a surprise. It doesn't have anything to do with the time they'll miss. I know at the end of training camp when they're put on the PUP list, I believe they're guaranteed to miss 6 weeks. I believe so. Jaguars signing Kyle Sloter. Bills Stavius White starting training camp on the PUP list. Yeah, so Leonard Fournette tweets out camp in 2 days. Love y'all. I'm off. That's funny. So yeah, thanks for stopping by. Let's look here. Wanted to take a look at fantasy defenses for. Let's tweet this out as well. Take a look at some fantasy defenses where I think they rank in terms of grades: A grades, B grades, C grades, D grades. Now, some of the teams won't make it on the list. They'll be below that D level, but above that F level. Not worth having on your teams, I don't think. So we can take a look around at those, and let's start. Coming in, I have the Pittsburgh Steelers ranked as the best fantasy defense in the league. So let's grab the Steelers, put them up on tier A. Let me go back over here. They opened the season against Cincinnati, so a tough matchup right off the bat. But I like that defense a lot. Actually, let me do one more thing. Sorry, everybody. I have a thing I can bring up everybody's schedule here on my end. Let's take a look at Pittsburgh's defense or schedule. Let's take a look at Pittsburgh's schedule to see what kind of matchups their defense is going to have. So, like I said, all right, week 1, Cincinnati. Week 2, New England. I did not like the offseason New England had. So I know they did make the playoffs last year. I expect them to take a little bit step back. I would not be surprised if Miami in that division finishes second with New England third. The Jets have to have a lot of things go right this year to bump one of those teams down to the last spot. But the Jets are trending in the right direction, at least on paper it looks like. Then Cleveland, who knows what's going to happen with the Watson situation? We're still all waiting to hear that. Then the Jets. Oh, then a tough matchup with the Bills, Bucks, division opponent Miami, and Philadelphia rounding out their first half of the schedule. Then after their bye, they come back with the Saints, the Bengals again, the Colts, the Falcons, the Ravens. I would love to get back to those Steelers Ravens matchups where you knew it was going to be like a 10-7 game. I like that kind of football. Carolina trading for Baker, so we'll see what kind of team they have this year. The Raiders should be very high powered. Baltimore again, and then ending the year with Cleveland. So just the players they have. That's why I have them in the top tier here. Not that they're no, I'm not ranking them in any order. In the tier, it's just where I placed all these teams. So let's look here at team number 2. Team number 2 on my end is going to be the Buffalo Bills. Really love what they did this offseason. They are my favorite to win the Super Bowl this year. But man, start off with a tough one, opening up that Thursday night against the Rams. Then they got the Titans, the Dolphins, Ravens, Steelers, Chiefs. Man, this other defense is going to have to step up. Bye week early. Ooh, that's early for them. Week 8 against Green Bay, and then the Jets week 9. Last year, facing the Jets, I know they really weren't playing for much, but the Jets were able to stick around in that game in the fourth quarter, but then Buffalo kind of blew them out there at the end. But the second half of the year, they have Minnesota, Cleveland, Detroit, New England, the Jets again. So much easier second half of the schedule than Miami, Chicago, and Cincinnati and New England again. So definitely, if you can get the Bills defense, even if they struggle early on, the second half of the year, come playoff time, depending on when your league holds your championship and your playoffs, should have a pretty decent matchup there. Let me go back over here. Hey, Sean is here. Happy Sunday. One day closer to football season. Yes, sir. Thanks for stopping by, Sean. Hope you're doing well. Let's see here. Lost my train of thought there for a second. And nope, that's the schedule. I want my rankings. What did I do in my rankings? Here we go. The third team on my list in the A tier for fantasy defenses is the New Orleans Saints. Let me get them up on the screen as well. The Saints, man, a team in the offseason. When we started looking at the offseason, we said they were going to be in trouble, probably take a step back. They proved this year that the salary cap doesn't really matter. You can move money around. So they were able to do that. They've added pieces. They've gotten better on paper. So, I mean, I know last year they beat Tampa Bay twice. So there's no reason they can compete with teams like that. So let's see here. Open up with Atlanta with Mariota at quarterback, then Tampa Bay, Carolina, Minnesota, Seattle, Cincinnati, Arizona, Raiders, and Bengals or Ravens. So, man, tough first schedule. First half of the schedule. Then they come back with Pittsburgh, the Rams, the 49ers. Who knows what's going to be up with the 49ers with Jimmy G or Trey Lance. Tampa Bay again. Then they're bye week 14. Man, that's late. That could be good for them. Atlanta again, Cleveland, Philadelphia. Who knows with Philly? Philly should be fighting with Dallas for that division. And then Carolina to end the year as well. So those were my top tier fantasy defenses. If you can, I know if it's a 15-round draft, I usually wait until 13 to pick my defenses, but there's always somebody that takes one a little bit earlier than that. So let's look here. Let's look at my B tier. B tier. The first team in my B tier is the San Francisco 49ers. Chicago coming off opening up against Chicago, then Seattle, Denver. I know they got Russell Wilson, so it'll be interesting to see how that offense comes together there. But then the Rams, Panthers, Falcons, Chiefs, and Rams again. Wow, twice in the first 8 weeks for the 49ers and Rams. I wonder what those fan bases think of that. I believe they played each other twice late last year. So, but then their second half doesn't look like it gets much easier. The Chargers, the Cardinals, the Saints, Dolphins, Bucks again. But then Seattle, the Commanders, the Raiders, and the Cardinals. So yeah, but that's why I have them here. I absolutely love them as well. Any of these A or Bs to me are your fantasy teams doing good at the defensive position if you get one of these teams in the A or B slots here. So let's get that off the screen. Just making sure, seeing if anybody else is here. Anything going on in the chat? No. All right. Next up on my tier are the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Tampa Bay, it'll be interesting to see. I know Brady's back. Fournette's back. It'll be interesting to see what changes with Todd Bowles now being in charge. I know they still have, I believe Leftwich is still there as the offensive coordinator. So things shouldn't change too much there. Unless Bowles wants a bigger hand in that pot. But as a Jet fan, he should stay. I've seen what him being a head coach looks like, and I would if I'm Todd Bowles this time around, I stay away from that. So yeah, Tampa Bay. Let's look at Tampa Bay's schedule here. Oops. Tampa Bay schedule open up against Dallas. We'll look at the week 1 slate of games here in a little bit, but the Saints, the Packers. I don't know. I know they have Aaron Rodgers at quarterback. I don't like the Green Bay Packers at all this year. It would not surprise me if Minnesota won that division, and if not Minnesota, depending on what happens there. Maybe even Detroit. Sean and I talked about Detroit being 2-6 last year in close games, 1-score games. So if they can turn that around, make that 6-2, they'll be right in the thick of fighting for that division, I believe. But they have to do it. So it'll be interesting to see how Goff does this year in his second year there in Detroit. But Kansas City, Atlanta, Pittsburgh, Carolina, Baltimore, and the Rams. Tough first half of the schedule there. Seattle, then they're by week 11. Cleveland, Watson, depending. It's hearing like it's going to be 8 games. I don't know for a fact, but so he should be back for that as well. So it'll be interesting to see what kind of team Cleveland has with Watson. Saints 13, going to be a great matchup. 14, San Francisco, Cincinnati, Arizona, Carolina, and Atlanta to round out the year. So they're just too good to not get. So if you're going to take a little flyer early on a team, on a defensive team, make sure you grab Tampa Bay as well. And next on my list is, let me switch this up. Next up on my list is the Miami Dolphins. Miami, I actually have them on the same level as San Francisco and Tampa Bay. So at the top of the second tier, I have one more team in this tier after Miami, but that's where I have them. I like what they did. It'll be interesting to see how the new offense comes together with the new head coach, and if Tua is the guy. And you know, how's the separation between Hill and Waddle going to be on the offensive side? So, but I think the defense is fine. I think that defense can help compete for second place in that division. I think it's Buffalo's division. run away with unless something happens on the injury front. I never want to see that happen. But let's see. Let's look at their schedule. New England week 1. They always play New England tough. Baltimore, Buffalo, Cincinnati, the Jets, the Vikings, Steelers, Lions, and Bears. So an easier part to the schedule in the first half there. Then week 10, then they're by week 11. Houston, San Francisco, the Chargers, the Bills, the Packers, who I do not like. I don't like the Packers this year at all. The Patriots and the Jets to end the season. So it'll be interesting to see how Miami does this year. Let's keep going here. The last team in my tier B is the St. Louis. Listen to me. The LA Rams. Absolutely. They won the Super Bowl last year, and I think they got better. Looking on paper, I think that they're a much better team this year than they were last year, and still haven't heard what Odell Beckham's going to do. So I know they traded Robert Woods on offense, but even if they don't bring back OBJ, I still like what they've done on offense. Cam Akers is back healthy on the offensive side of the ball, but on defense, they should be the same. Still got Aaron Donald. I know they lost Von Miller, but they ended up getting the guy from Seattle. So I don't think there's going to be that big of a drop off there. So that's why I still like them here in my B tier. But let's look at their schedule as well. So, like we said, because we talked about Buffalo, they played Buffalo week 1, but then Atlanta, Arizona, San Francisco, Dallas, Carolina, week 7 bye. Then come back with San Francisco and Tampa Bay to end the first half. But the second half of the year, they play Arizona, the Saints, Chiefs, Seahawks, Raiders, Packers, Broncos, Chargers, and Seahawks to end the year. So depending on what happens with teams, seeding, if they could have the number 1 seed wrapped up by week 17, they'd probably wonder if they'd sit a bunch of people. I know it's Seattle. They probably want to bench a bunch of people, even though they would get the first round bye. But we'll see. If anybody's here in the chat, let us know. Does your fantasy team hold their championship week 17 or 18? That'll be interesting to know. Sean letting me know that it was Bobby Wagner. Thank you, Sean. That's usually what he does on stream is let me know because I forget everybody's name. But yeah, Sean, thanks again for being in the chat. Best liger in the league, bud. Yeah. Yeah. Hey, it's tough, man. It's tough doing this stream by yourself. You lose your train of thought easier. But that's okay. Thanks for hanging out here. I can send you the link if you want to jump in. Let me know. Your seat's always open. So let's look at our my C tier teams I would still take, but not as high on. As well. Let me go back over to my list. Get rid of these. C tier. Even though I don't like what they've done on paper this year, I still like New England's defense. So it'll be interesting to see. I do think they will take a step back this year. Last year was actually the first time they made the playoffs under Belichick without Brady. So let's look at their schedule as well. New England. Open up against Miami, then Pittsburgh, Baltimore, Green Bay, Detroit, Cleveland, week 6. So Watson might not be back. Chicago, the Jets, and the Colts. So actually, I like their first half on paper. Then they come back from the bye in week 11, play the Jets again. We don't know what the Jets are going to be. Is Zach Wilson going to be able to take that step? He played decent in the last 4 games of his rookie year. So they put plenty of weapons around him, both with that offensive line. So we'll see what happens there. But then Minnesota, Buffalo, Arizona, the Raiders, the Bengals, the Dolphins, and the Bills to end the year. So if you have them, maybe try to get another defense for your playoffs, because playing the Raiders, the Bengals, and the Dolphins, depending on what goes on with the Dolphins offense with Tua, they might not those might not be good playoff matchups for your fantasy league. So let me see what else is happening here. Let's look at the next team on the list. The next team on the list is, let me switch this so I can see their schedule. The next team on the list for defenses is the Dallas Cowboys. Sean, you know you're hanging out in the chat. What do you think of my list here so far, bud? Still got plenty of teams to look at here, but yeah, definitely if you can get one of these teams in Tier A, you don't have to worry about defenses at all for the season, no matter what the matchups are. Same thing with Tier B as well. I think if you get one of these teams here in Tier B, you probably don't have to worry about matchups. Maybe just a bye. Maybe you have to pick somebody else on a bye. But anything here, C, D, and anybody I put in the F category here, I would completely stay away from. So let's keep looking. Dallas here, Tampa Bay, Cincinnati, the Giants, the Commanders, the Rams, Eagles, Lions, Bears, and Week 9 is their bye. And then they come back from the bye against the Packers, Vikings, Giants again, Colts, Texans, Jaguars, Eagles, and Titans. Oh, so Eagles and Titans in this playoff round, in these playoff rounds for fantasy. So that would be tough. And then unless you're playing Week 18, I don't know how the Commanders are going to be with Wentz. But yeah, so if you do get the teams here in Tier C, try it. Maybe get a couple of them for the bye. Then once the bye's over, decide which way you want to go depending on matchups. But the next team in this C list here is the Green Bay Packers. Still good. Still have a good defense. I just don't like what they've done on offense. I know they still have Aaron Rodgers, but I don't know. They need to hope Allen Lazard is that go-to receiver. Where's my Green Bay schedule? Green Bay schedule. Open up against Minnesota, Chicago, Tampa Bay, New England, the Giants, the Jets. Ooh, I don't have home and away here. I wonder if those are back-to-back games in the Meadowland or at Giant Stadium there. The Commanders, the Bills, and the Lions to round out the first half, coming back with the second half. Dallas, Tennessee, Philly, Chicago, Week 14 bye. Then come back from the bye for the fantasy playoffs. The Rams, the Dolphins, and the Vikings. So another one of those teams that I'm looking for better matchups in Week 15 through 17 than the Green Bay Packers. I don't like those matchups at all. Let's see here. Sean is commenting in the side here. Let's look. Steelers I don't consider an A because the questionable offense could hurt the defense with turnovers. That's true. I'd swap Steelers and Rams easily. Yeah. So, I mean, I could see that. I could see their offense. I could see the Steelers' offense struggling to the point where it does hurt their defense. So it'll be interesting to see. My guess would be they're going to start the year with Trubisky before putting Pickett in, and maybe once they're officially eliminated from playoff contention, maybe that's when they put Pickett in. barring any injuries. But paying Trubisky 2 years, I think he gets the starting job as well. So let's keep looking here. That was Green Bay. Who do I have after Green Bay? I have two more teams in this series here, both from the same division. I have the LA Chargers. I know Sean really likes what the Chargers did. But let's look at their matchups as well. LA Chargers. Those games, those Western Division games are going to be crazy. So they open up against the Raiders and then the Chiefs. Could be two very high scoring games right off the bat. But then they got the Jaguars, the Texans, the Browns, week 5. So it still should be without Watson there. Denver, we don't know what Denver's going to be. Week 7 against Seattle. Bye week 8 coming back for ending the first half against Atlanta. So very fairly good matchups early on in the season. In the second half, they got San Francisco, Kansas City, Arizona, the Raiders, the Dolphins, the Titans, the Colts, the Rams, and the Broncos to end the year. So again, another team where if I'm getting them early and hoping I can pick somebody else up to fill my playoff push. And if I do make the playoffs, maybe even better matchups there as well. The last team I have in Tier C here is the Kansas City Chiefs. Let's put the Chiefs over there. Let's put the Chiefs there. Let's look at their schedule as well. The Chiefs have Arizona to open the year. The Chargers, the Colts, the Bucks, the Raiders, the Bills, the 49ers, the bye week 8, and then the Titans. But then they come back, their second half, the Jaguars, the Chargers, the Rams, the Bengals, the Broncos. But then here, week 15 and 16, against Houston and against Seattle. Man, Kansas City, just because of those two matchups in the playoffs, I might pick up Kansas City somewhere. Maybe if somebody stashes them, maybe if somebody doesn't have them or gets rid of them by the bye week here, I might pick them up just for weeks 15 and 16, at least on paper. Those are great matchups for the Chiefs here. Should put up a ton of points on offense and not give up too many points on defense as well. Let me just make sure I'm not missing anything over here in the chat. Nothing going on. So let's look at Tier D. These teams are only if I'm desperate and need a defense. Let's get rid of this to look at that. And let's bring up the first one. The first one is going to be the Indianapolis Colts. I want to bring up their schedule here. I should have had this stuff ready. I didn't think about the schedules until I started streaming. So let's look at the Colts here. In Tier D. Houston, Jacksonville. So a good start to the year. But then Kansas City, Tampa, or Tennessee, Denver, then Jacksonville again, then the Titans again, then the Commanders, then the Patriots to round out the first half. So the second half, let's look. Raiders, Eagles, Steelers, Cowboys, bye week 14. Week 15 against Minnesota, 16 the Chargers, and the Giants week 17. Ooh, depending on what's going on with the Giants. Man, see, I like the beginning of their matchups, and then week 17, if my fantasy league championship is week 17 and I need a defense, I would consider Indianapolis to go against the Giants. Maybe the Giants surprise people and get things turned around, but I don't think so. And then, especially if for some reason your league holds the championship week 18, they got the Texans again. So, yeah, late in the playoffs, I'm looking for good defensive matchups. I'm trying to pick up the Indianapolis Colts there. So a couple more teams here in this category. Sean, if you're still here, let me know what you think of this one. Coming in here as my second team in this one is the Minnesota Vikings. Only using again if I need a favorable matchup, and I don't have one of these 7 teams here. If I don't have one of these 7 teams, I will pick and choose, maybe even on a weekly basis, depend on matchups, anybody in C and D. And then once I get to F, those are defenses, at least at the beginning of the season, I'm not going to touch. But let's bring up the Vikings schedule. Minnesota. While I'm waiting for that to load, I'll get a drink here. Minnesota's schedule is Green Bay, Philadelphia, Detroit, the Saints, the Bears, the Dolphins. Bye week 7, Arizona and Washington to round out their first half. But then they start the second half with Buffalo and Dallas, New England, the Jets, the Lions, the Colts, the Giants, and the Packers, and end with the Bears. So depending on how they're looking, man, week 18, for some reason you got a championship, or week 16. Once again, depending on how the Giants are looking. I expect the Giants to be a bad team this year. So let's see if Sean said anything in the comments about my projections, my stuff here. No, nothing. Let's look. All right, let's see who's next. I have the Arizona Cardinals next in this category. Let's look at their matchups as well to see if maybe late in the year or early in the year would be better for them. Arizona, Kansas, open up against Kansas City, the Raiders, the Rams, the Panthers, the Eagles, Seahawks, Saints, Vikings, and Seahawks again. So early on in the year, definitely have two against Seattle that I would try to pick them up. But then the second half, the Rams, the 49ers, the Chargers, bye week 13, but then the Patriots, Broncos, Bucks, Falcons, week 17. It depends on if Mariota is still the starting quarterback down there, if they go to Desmond Ridder, and then San Francisco week 18 to end the year. So maybe only a couple matchups I like here. Definitely against Seattle. So if you're stuck and you're picking between teams on a weekly basis, try to get Arizona for at least these Seattle matchups. And let's see here, Arizona. I just did Arizona, and the last team in this tier is the Chicago Bears. But this is another team where I like their defense, but their offense, like Sean said about Pittsburgh, their offense could hurt their defense. So that's why they're down here. I don't know how that offense is going to respond. They definitely need some better help at wide receiver. And trading for N'Keal Harry isn't gonna do it. But hopefully, I mean, he's been a complete bust there in New England, but hopefully he can get things turned around. But the Bears' schedule here is San Francisco, Green Bay, Houston, then the Giants, Vikings, Commanders, Patriots, Cowboys, Dolphins to end out the first half. So a couple spots here, Houston and the Giants. If I end up with the Bears defense, but then the second half we got the Lions, the Falcons, Jets, Packers. Could definitely see using the Bears defense there in those games. But then for the playoff push, let's see here, the Eagles, the Bills, and the Lions again. I would stay away from that. I think the Lions will be much improved this year, and then the Vikings to round out the season as well. So once again, Chicago only a team I'm using if I need a matchup, or if it's a bye. One of my teams is on a bye one of these weeks. Maybe I pick them up for that. But let's look at the teams I have in the F category. We won't spend much time on them. These are teams I would not touch their defense at all. So let's look. The first team in this tier. Oops. Let me go back over here, see if anything's happening. Nothing's happening. Let me make sure I didn't miss nothing in the chat here. Nope. All right. Sean, I put your Vikings there in tier D. Let me know what you think of that. Am I being too tough on the Vikings defense or what? Anybody else that's here? Let me know what you think of the rankings here. But yeah, here's tier F. These are defenses I am completely staying away from, no matter what, unless things change. At least on paper, and by my projections, I am staying away from these defenses. Coming in first is the New York Giants. Next is the Houston Texans. Third on this list is the Philadelphia Eagles. Sean might say I'm nuts here, but a team I'm staying away from, still on defense, is the Raiders. Don't like what they've done there. Next on that list is my Jets. Until they prove otherwise, I am staying away from them. Coming up next is I wonder if Rye Cannon's here. Rye Cannon, if you're here, let me know. I got your Seahawks in this category where I'm not taking them at all in fantasy. Jacksonville as well. Atlanta as well I'm staying away from. And the last team I am staying away from until they prove otherwise is the Detroit Lions. So these teams that I did not pick, I'd have to look at matchups as well. They just missed my D category here. Man, so some of the teams that did not make it are Baltimore, Cincinnati, Cleveland, Denver, Tennessee. So, man, I just don't like their matchups at all. Oops, I flipped that over. I didn't want to do that. So, yeah, those are my defensive rankings. Let me know what you guys think over in the chat if you're still here. So, actually, let's look at the week 1 schedule. I do have it where I can put it up on the screen for you guys. Week 1 schedule. Add the stream. So we kick off that Thursday night. Bills and Rams. I'm hoping Sean will be back for that. I will be live streaming. My can't live stream the game and show it on screen, but my reaction. Hopefully you guys will come out and hang out in the chat like we did for the NFL draft. That was a lot of fun. Very tiring, but a lot of fun. Let's look here. Then Sunday we have the Ravens at the Jets, the Browns at the Panthers. It'll be interesting to see. It does look like Watson is going to miss at least 8 games, so he'll probably be gone for that unless he appeals it and they hold it off until after the season or something. But then the Colts and the Texans. Colts, Texans. I got the Jaguars, Commanders. Let's look at this. Jaguars, Commanders, Patriots, Dolphins, Saints, Falcons, Eagles, Lions, Steelers, Bengals, San Francisco, the 49ers, Bears, the Packers, Vikings, the Chiefs, Cardinals. That should be a good game. That's a 4:25 game on CBS. Oh, man. So I wonder if we'll get that game or wonder which one will be the national game. The Chargers, the Chiefs, Cardinals, or the Raiders, Chargers. Man. And then the other 4:00 games are the Giants, Titans, which we'll probably get here in Pennsylvania. Depending on who gets the doubleheader. We'll definitely get Philadelphia at 1:00. Philadelphia and the Lions will get at 1. So it'll be interesting to see who gets, because they're both at 425. It'll be interesting to see who gets the national 425 game. If it's CBS or Fox, my guess would be it'll be um, CBS. I'm looking at the CBS 1 o'clock schedule. So they'll probably get the 4 o'clock game. So it'll be interesting to see if it's the Chiefs Cardinals or Raiders Chargers. But today with the internet, anybody can watch any game. So, but then Giants Titans, which will probably end up with here in Pennsylvania, just because we're close to New Jersey. Then Sunday night we got Tampa Bay and Dallas. That should be a good matchup anyway. And then Monday night, if you're going to put this matchup anywhere, this is and if Seattle's getting a primetime game, this is at week 1, Denver against Russell Wilson. So yeah, that's not and then week 2 I believe week 2 there's 2 Monday night games. So interesting to see how that works out. What TV guys get those games in week 2. So, but I wanted to show. I started working on projections for week 1 as well. These are real early, like training camp just started. Preseason hasn't even started yet, so these can change a lot. But let's look at some of these numbers here. Right now, I have Josh Allen ranked number 1, even though he's going. The defense is based off of last year's numbers, so I know things change year to year. So, but I got Allen 1, Mahomes 2, Jackson 3, Herbert 4, Kyler Murray 5, Brady 6, Burrow, Hurts, Prescott, and Rodgers. So let's look here. So teams, depending on how big your league is, man, look at the guys not making it into the top 10 for week 1. Carr, Stafford, Lance, right now Lance for week 1. Russell Wilson against Seattle, Tua, Cousins. Here, let's see here. I wonder how accurate the roster thing is. I'll have to look at the website I used to get that information to see if they're still pulling it from last year, or if it is from leagues this year. Guys going into their second year. Well, Lance, even though he'd be first year starting, it would be his second year. But then we got Trevor Lawrence, Justin Fields, and Zach Wilson down here against Baltimore, projected at 18 points. He averaged 12.5 points a game last year. So, yeah, that's the quarterbacks. An early look at quarterbacks. Just Ian Rappaport just tweeted something out, but it's nothing major. So let's look at running backs here. Week 1, Jonathan Taylor up at number 1 for week 1, 117 yards. Look at Derrick Henry against the Giants, 130 yards projected. The Giants were horrible last year against running backs. McCaffrey here, man, I hope McCaffrey stays healthy. That's what hurt me last year in our dynasty league. I did last year. I did have Henry and McCaffrey. I just traded Henry yesterday. So let's look here. Eckler at 4. I know Sean's high on Eckler. Najee Harris against Cincinnati. Could be a bigger workload on Harris this year, depending on the quarterback situation. Mixon, Cook from the Vikings, Swift from Detroit, Chubb, Jones, Javonte Williams, Saquon. Sean is high on Saquon. Tennessee was number 1 against fantasy running backs last year. So that's that's running backs, the top of the tier. Let's look at the top of the tier for wide receivers. We got Kupp, Adams, Jefferson, Mike Evans. Most of these guys everybody knows. Jamar Chase, Diggs, Tyreek Hill with Miami, CeeDee Lamb, Deebo Samuel, Keenan Allen, Hollywood Brown, Deontay Johnson, A.J. Brown, Higgins, Pittman, McLaurin, and DJ Moore. They're at the bottom of the list. So not bad. Way too early. Like I said, preseason hasn't even started yet. And he's good. And, hopefully none of these guys get injured. Man, excuse me. Tight ends, Kelsey, Andrews, Waller, and Kittle. The top four. Pitts at 5. Hawkinson at 6. Hawkinson's got to stay healthy. He could be pushing that top 5 if he can stay healthy. Goddard, Schultz, Albert O from Denver. Dawson Knox. Sean's really high on Dawson Knox as well. Cole Kmet. Freiermuth, who I'm really high on this year. Higbee, I was high on last year. Couldn't stay healthy. I don't know. I'm not high on him this year just because of those injury concerns from last year. But let's look here. Everett, Fant, Logan Thomas, and Hunter Henry with the Patriots as well. Let's look at kickers early. Blankenship from Indy. McPherson. Sean loves McPherson out of Cincinnati. Bucker, who I have in our Dynasty League. Joe Sly from Washington. Justin Tucker, Carlson, Hopkins, Elliott, Gonzalez, Gould, McManus, Koo. Where is... I'm going to have to look to see, make sure I have everybody updated. So that's the kickers. Let's look at defenses for week 1. Week 1, San Francisco. There you go. That matchup against the Bears. I have them projected to be the number 1 defense week 1. But then look, Ravens, a team I said not to touch. The Browns, a team I said not to touch. Pretty good matchups on paper week 1. Titans, I believe, was on that list as well. So maybe, what do I know? I don't know. Broncos, Eagles, Chargers. Man, any of those teams in the AFC West, it's going to be hard to read them. I could see those games being 30 games every time those 4 teams play each other. Bengals, Panthers, Colts, Packers. I'm not too high on. Dolphins, Seahawks, Patriots, Commanders, and Falcons. Let's see where my Jets are. Oh, up here against Baltimore. Oh, not great, but not bad. I wouldn't play them against Baltimore in week 1. But there's that. That's an early look at week 1 projections. We went over the schedule for week 1. We did my ranking for defenses. Here's that list again. I'm going to take a screenshot of this and post this over on Twitter. So make sure you're following us on Twitter if you're not. Let's see here. I think I can. It comes up. Oh yeah, you can check out it right there. It says all of our social media stuff there. But let me put. There it is again. So if anybody wants to check us out on any of those platforms, please do that. Make sure you hit that follow button. Make sure you hit that. Even if you're here on Twitch, make sure you hit that follow button. Lots more content coming out. On Thursday, I have this past Thursday, I did a show with Jeremy from Jets Chaos on YouTube and Steve from Best Bills Channel or Not on YouTube as well. They came on to talk AFC East. We had a great time talking up the Bills and Jets. I did invite Dolphins fan and a Patriots fan on as well. They did not respond, so they weren't there for the live stream. So Check that out as well. And this week, we are taking a look at the NFC West. I have Payo Time, LA Rams YouTuber, over there on YouTube. He'll be on talking up the Rams. Rye Cannon, who's a Seahawks fan, who's usually hanging out in our chat here. He's got his own Twitch channel, usually playing video games, usually playing a lot of Madden or WWE. He'll be here talking up his Seahawks. So that'll be a lot of fun. Still waiting to hear back from a Cardinals fan and a 49ers fan. So should be another full show again. Just trying to fill up the spots here. Man, this has been a long off season. Really ran out of ideas. Sean and I started streaming Thursday night, week 1 last year. So we didn't have last year's off season to know what to prepare for this offseason. So once we got to the draft, we had I don't want to say no idea, but we were always thinking of ideas. So maybe next year, instead of live streaming twice a week, we cut it down to one, or come up with some better ideas now that we know what to expect for the off season. So yeah. Thank you for those that were here. I know Sean was here in the chat commenting and showing there's some other people here as well that aren't commenting. So thank you for being here as well. Make sure you hit that follow button. And we will be back. I will be back Thursday at 7. Like I said, talking up Rams and at least Seahawks. Still trying to get 49ers fan on here as well. I just thought of somebody else I could ask. But yeah, some other things in the work here. So far, it hasn't worked out. I am trying to get Mo Egger from ESPN 1530 on. He hosts their live show from 3 to 6, Monday through Friday. Oh, Rye Cannon's here. Rye Cannon, we were just talking about you, bud. Hopefully, you're still able to join the stream on Thursday. To talk up your Seahawks. I have a Rams fan coming on as well. So don't start any fights. How's it going on this Sunday afternoon? It's going good. Still trying to figure things out here without having Sean. He says he's at work. Oh, man, that stinks. Working on a Sunday. What time do you have to work till? Hopefully it's not too bad of a shift. Afterwards, I'm actually going to shout out your channel while you're here. Oops, it's easier to do that if I do that on Twitch. Will you be streaming tonight? Are you going to stream anything? Right, Cannon. Let's give him a shout out there as well. He's at work. Actually, you post that you're at work a lot. What do you do? What do you actually do? I actually don't know what you do. So yeah, like I said, Rye Cannon will be here Thursday. Payo Time, who's been on the channel a couple times, will be here talking about his Rams. So yeah, lots of things to come. We'll definitely be streaming more once the season starts. That Thursday night, the preseason opener against, I believe it's the Jaguars and the Raiders. I'll be live streaming that as well. Maybe I'll send out the link for that if anybody wants to hop in and talk football during that game. We can do that as well. Maybe that's what I'll do next Sunday. I'll tweet out the live link. If anybody wants to join the show, they can do that. Viewer count just jumped up a bunch, so thank you everybody for being here. Sean and I, Sean is taking a little bit of a break here before the season starts. We live stream every Thursday at 7 Eastern time, Sundays at noon. Let's go down here. Excuse me. Sundays at noon. We did that because it would be an hour during the season. It's an hour before the games start, so we can get you updated on our projections, on any injury news that might be happening. So guys that might be missing the games, you can get your lineups switched around Sean does a great job doing that as well. Sean actually just texted me. Let me see what he said. It's about the NASCAR race today here at Pocono. If anybody's in the NASCAR, Sean and I only live about Sean a little bit further. I only live about 30 minutes from the racetrack, but it's one of the worst racetracks there is on the circuit. So once you're in the stands, depending on where you are in the stands, you can't see the other side of the track. So you're missing. You don't know if something's going on, and if there is an accident, you don't know it until you see the smoke. You usually can't hear it until they come. Man, once they come whipping around that front stretch, though, man, it is loud. Sean and I have been to the races multiple times up there. Just didn't work out this year. Yesterday, for their events up there, I had to work at my job. I usually don't work on Saturdays, but I had to do that yesterday. So, yeah. But like I said, back Thursday, talking NFC West. Hopefully to get a bigger look at week one projections like I did. I showed some of them here. Let me share this as well. It says right there in the chat, Discord is up and running. Join there. I have it all set up where you can look at our projections whenever you want. Instead of waiting for our stream, you can go over there, click the link. It's all done through Google Sheets, so a Google Sheet pops up, shows you the projections. They automatically update once I update them. That link automatically shows the new version, so you don't have to go. If you don't have to go back. So if you're on a computer, just hit that. Hit the favorite button, and those will come up there. You can keep those in your favorites as well. So I think we're going to end the stream there. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Sean was here commenting in the chat. Thanks, buddy. Hopefully you're doing good. Getting some rest. I know it's been hot. Sean works outside. I work in an air conditioning store, so much easier for me. But Sean does work outside in the heat. So take care of yourself. Stay hydrated. Hopefully we get a break from the weather this week here in the Northeast. But yeah, Rye Cannon was here. Rye Cannon will be on the show. So once again, everybody, thank you for being here. Until Thursday, we'll see you later.